Welcome to the class of 2020's virtual graduation. This virtual ceremony is a gift to all of our graduates from the Hackettstown Board of Education, a keepsake that truly embodies the uniqueness of the 2019-2020 school year. But before we begin the program with the recognition of the graduates and speeches by the superintendent, Mr. David Mango, and several of your peers, including valedictorian Amanda Tong, salutatorian Ryan Pasco, and class president Ryan O'Melia, I would like to share some parting words. There will be some in this class that will live a very happy and productive life in or around the greater Hackettstown area. Others will live nearby, maybe a day-long car ride, and may find themselves visiting from time to time, while others will leave Hackettstown and may never return. But that's the beautiful thing about life. No matter what stage of life you're in or what age you are, there's always the what's next right in front of you. And although what's right for one isn't always right for another, the what's next decision will face all of you daily. Those decisions will be filled with emotion, and the story of your life will be written by the choices you make and the lifestyle you lead. At times, your life will be full of amazing joy and excitement, but also sadness and frustration. Regardless of the feeling, every moment in time will add a chapter to your book. So set the tone daily, challenge yourself, take calculated risks, and don't be afraid to fail. Know that each day is a gift, and the small successes accumulate over time. When opportunities are presented, make decisions that feel the best at the moment in time. Allow the experiences in the chapters you have already written to guide your decisions. Rely on your family, the lessons you learned in school, and most importantly, your gut. If you keep that advice in mind each and every day, success and happiness will find you. Live for the what's next, not the what if, and make your book a bestseller.
Just To the class of 2020, hindsight is 2020. Looking back at a time or a situation that has happened, as it has passed, your understanding becomes clearer. You can identify your missteps or the problem and even have a better solution. Hindsight is important to make better headway in the future. It seems like a bit of an oxymoron that hindsight is necessary for your future success, as you are reevaluating that which has passed to get somewhere you want to be, but have never been. This current pandemic speaks volumes to hindsight. Long before you were students, Hollywood would make futuristic and science fiction movies based off of the 21st century and 2020. In the world of filmmaking, they would foresee some of the things that would be, could be, or will be in the future. Some of the things talked about, mentioned in those movies, are in use today for the betterment of many generations and a whole society. You are part of something so special and unique by graduating in the year 2020. Your generation, your class, you as individuals have contributed to the age of technology and will continue to make contributions that we would have never predicted, again, such as this pandemic. Prior to this century, text messaging, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook did not exist, nor was used as a daily means of communication. You are part of a generation that will be trendsetters for our future. As you push forward and travel on your pathway to success, hindsight and foresight will be your guides. Always stop and take a moment to see how far you have come. It is with reflection and time and thought that you will be able to see clearly and utilize the life skills you have gained for your future. Throughout your time as students in Hackettstown High School, you witnessed several societal issues that will be at your doorsteps as adults. Once again, you will rely on your experiences, knowledge, and relationships forged in high school as a resource in the ever-changing game of life. Remember to always trust your instincts and voice of reason from your parents and family. Defeat and failure are never easy terms to accept and come in all forms and fashions. It is not a crime to fail, as it is part of life. The true crime is not aiming for success for fear of failure. Embrace the unknown and be the voice of change. On behalf of the Hackettstown Board of Education, myself, I wish you all the best life has to offer. God bless.
Have you ever stumbled in on a cult? Okay, maybe not a cult, but I mean, like, have you ever finished having dinner and then you walk outside and suddenly there's about 100 people all gathered in a circle, shouting the same lyrics to a song no one's heard of before, clapping and dancing to a mysterious rhythm, all with seemingly no end? No? I really didn't think I would either. My point here today isn't to sound pretentious or to preach any sort of gospel. I just hope to tell you about this one small moment, and at its best, you find some meaning in it that you can carry with you after today. At its worst, well, at least you might not have to see or hear from me ever again. So let's backtrack. It was my sophomore year, arguably one of the hardest years for me. I was struggling with choosing a side between two friends. I was struggling with my self-image and how I felt about my appearance. And midway through the year, I started crying every art class because I hit an art block. I was frustrated at myself for being unable to make anything I was genuinely happy with. And all of these things had just built up inside me, and it caused a whole other slew of problems. If anyone knew me at all that year, I was absurdly late every morning, and as much as all-nighters still frequent my life, it was even more prevalent that year. I fell asleep as soon as I came home, ate dinner incredibly late, only to stay up the night before something was due, with a horrendous sleep schedule that only snowballed to become worse. At 14 years old, with enough immaturity to pretend like I didn't need anyone else's help, for me, it was a lot to burden. So I went in with all of that, June of my sophomore year, to this 3-day overnight event called Hobie. It was supposed to be all about leadership, and I only went in with one other Hackettstown student who I didn't even really see the whole weekend. If you think the name Hobie sounds weird, the actual beginning experience was even weirder. As soon as I got there, the first thing they did was have 6 or 7 people make an archway for you to walk between them and then shout in your face saying, "Tunnel time," then made everyone look at each other and go, "Wait, are we sure we're at the right place?" If the premise wasn't nerve-wracking enough, the explosion of awkward enthusiasm had made me incredibly anxiety-ridden. I had no idea what to expect and no friends to go in with to support me. I was nervous that no one would like me, that I wasn't going to make friends, that I was going to find this all incredibly boring and hate the experience. So when I met my group that I was assigned with, a group of strangers I had to talk to for the whole weekend, it was awkward. Like it always is when you meet someone for the first time. And yet, there was something exhilarating about it. They didn't know about all these burdens from my sophomore year. They didn't know who I was. It was like beginning anew. You know, I always thought that I was afraid of change, but I don't think I was ever afraid of change in the sense of going to a new place. I was afraid of people saying you've changed. I was afraid of people's opinions changing whenever I decided to change something about myself for my own benefit. I was so acutely aware of other people. So when I came to Hobie, it was like coming into high school freshman year or celebrating New Year's, or maybe how some of us will feel in the fall when we go off to college. It was like starting with a clean slate, but even better, because I didn't have to bear the weight of what other people thought about me. I didn't have to carry around all the problems that were following me my sophomore year. I could just drop it all for a moment, because no one knew. As soon as I had realized that, it became so much easier to befriend the people in my group and join in on their bold actions. When they screamed to the rest of the crowd in the same enthusiastic, once weird manner that the people of Hobie had greeted us with, I found myself joining right in, looking at an entire group of other sophomores who were beginning anew and finding themselves, just like I was doing. And so, when I had walked out of dinner and come to this moment of people clapping and dancing and running around in circles, I didn't let the thought of it appearing like I was in some sort of cult bother me. In normal circumstances, I don't think that anyone who knew me before Hobie would have thought to have seen me dancing and shouting with such vigor as I did that evening. But when I joined in, I saw so many faces who were both simultaneously fearing having to participate in such an event, and yet also anticipating the ability to just let everything go. It was definitely not a perfect moment, and it was definitely something that I never thought I would do. But I don't think we give ourselves enough credit to be flawed, to be okay with being afraid, to be okay with mistakes. At least for me, before this moment, it was incredibly difficult to accept this. During this incredibly messy and out-of-pocket event, so spontaneous outside a dining hall, I found that it was okay for things not to be of expectations, or to even try to follow them. It's okay to not have everything figured out. I certainly didn't, and I still don't completely, but in that moment, when I shed my worries, I discovered that it's okay to change, to be flawed and be working on it, and no one will mind. I think during that weekend, in that circle, I realized that I wasn't really alone either. Everyone is worrying just a little bit about other people's opinions, about their flaws, about what happens if they change, but you have to have the courage to shed all these worries. Approach life as if no one knew you, and take a risk. One of my favorite books ends like this, and I think it really encapsulates all that I'd learned and how that has continued to resonate with me ever since. In I'll Give You the Sun, Jandy Nelson writes, "Take a second or third or fourth chance. Remake the world." And I think it serves as a reminder that especially in this crazy pandemic where none of us are truly sure what we're doing, we can take a step back and start anew. We can forget the mistakes, the expectations, and instead take another shot at who we want to be. It's us who have the power to decide who we are and how we want that to shape the world. Before I leave, I just want to end with a couple questions. Who would you be if you didn't have to worry about others' expectations? Why are you so afraid or hesitant to be that person? And most importantly, what can you do to bridge the gap between that person and who you are now? Congrats to the class of 2020. Have courage. Thank you.
Today, I will be talking to you all to hopefully deliver 3 simple messages. Be yourself, be happy, and be a good person. As we are all beginning our passage into adulthood, I believe these lessons to be most important in becoming a responsible individual. It is my goal to deliver my message with words that come straight from the heart. The first message I would like to spread is the hope that you all enter in the next years of your life with the mindset of finding out who you are as a person. I understand that this time as a graduating senior is stressful and is filled with many uncertainties, but by believing in your own abilities and following your heart, anything is possible. If there is something that you wish to pursue, and it is truly a passion of yours, whether it be becoming a successful athlete, Spotify artist, or clothing designer, there are always steps that can be taken to accomplish any of these goals, no matter how outlandish they may seem at the time. Even if you have other aspirations, such as becoming a mechanic or plumber that may seem less pretentious to some people, do not let their opinions stand in your way of doing what makes you happy. Life is too short, and we have all worked too hard in the past 4 years to let another person dictate how we wish to progress with our lives. At this point, we've been given the chance to start over as adults, as a clean slate. We will not be judged on what has happened in our teen years, but how we will act in our adult years. This is the time to step out of your comfort zone, explore new things, and engage with other people. We are entering a new world as individuals, but we will never forget the time we spent together. I have met some of the greatest people here at Hackettstown High School, and I am truly grateful for everything I've experienced. Over the past 4 years, we've had the greatest support system at the high school, from teachers, guidance counselors, and staff, all directing us on how to conduct ourselves in the real world. Now is the time where we are allowed to become the best versions of ourselves, and become the change we want to see in the world. Being happy is a difficult goal to achieve. The state of happiness fluctuates from time to time, and it rarely stays forever. It is important to surround yourself with loving people who care about your well-being and who you enjoy spending time with. It is always great to have friends by your side, but it is also necessary to have the capabilities of finding happiness on your own, because in the future, there will be instances where you must rely on yourself. It is easy to say that you will be happy, but oftentimes there are obstacles that will stand in the way. As human beings, these obstacles may take away from our feeling of happiness, but we must resist this urge. Try your best not to let the actions of others affect your feelings or your perception of the rest of the world. There are some things that cannot be changed, so it is important to move on and focus on what you can do to grow as a person. Improving yourself and finding new enjoyments in life is the key to happiness. There is no dollar amount or list of accomplishments that can grant you happiness on its own. Rather, happiness is a state of mind. If you focus on the positive aspects of your life rather than falling to the negativity, you will eventually feel happy. No matter how bad things may seem at one point, there will always be a rainbow at the end of the road if you believe it will be there waiting for you. My final message is not just directed towards my fellow high school seniors, but also to anyone else listening to my words. I may be young and inexperienced, but I believe that I have some understanding of what it means to truly be a good person. A good person is not just someone who performs good deeds, such as holding the door open for others. A good person is not just someone who says hi to someone else when they are having a bad day. A good person is not just someone who volunteers or donates to charity. A good person is someone who does all of these things without asking, out of the goodness of their heart. Being good all the time may seem like an impossible task, but we can all strive to do good in the world. It is important to keep in mind there is no perfect person, and all people make mistakes. Instead of judging someone based on their flaws or their past mistakes, it is more useful to discover how they will grow as an individual and support their own journey. When interacting with the people around you, it is also important to remember that everyone has feelings of their own, and everyone has a voice that should be heard. In a world where there is often injustice, it is important to focus on how you can be a positive influence on the ones around you. I believe that the best way to improve society around you is to lead as an example of the types of people you wish to see and offer your love to everyone equally, no matter who they are. Love is more powerful than any other feeling, and it has the ability to create positive change in the world. At this point, I've talked a lot about life and the world around us, so you have the right to wonder, who am I to tell you how you should go about living your own life? The fact of the matter is, I may be delivering my outlook on life, but it is your responsibility to determine if you will internalize any of the words I've spoken. While I cannot force you to carry on my lessons in the next chapter of your life, I hope I began to open the door to understanding, the door to discover who you are and how you will become a part of the world around you. I would like to thank you all for taking the time to listen and hear the thoughts that I believe are important to share. Good luck to all, and I believe we can all be successful no matter what the future brings.
Fellow graduates, I am Ryan O'Melia, and so proud to be your class president. March 12th, we went to school ready for tests and projects, laughing in the hallways with our friends, and sharing conversations, unaware that it would be the last time we would be in our school together. Everyone here looked forward to senior skip day, but as the weeks turned into months, we looked forward to being back in school together. Dr. Seuss once said, "Sometimes you will never know the value of a moment until it becomes a memory." We have accomplished things in our 4 years at HHS that many people would consider impossible. Just before we walked out of the school for the last time, our basketball team became state champions for the first time in school history. Though I was on the court, all of us were a part of that accomplishment. Our Tiger Pride is infectious. Shout out to the jungle. I want you all to think about some of the times over the past 4 years when you decided to go big. When did you challenge yourself to be a part of something big here at Hackettstown High School? We are all about to move forward in our lives, using those moments as lessons, as many of us will be leaving for the college, the military, to travel, or pursue a career. No matter what your plans are for next year, remember how our class decided to go big and go do great things. I can't wait to see you all accomplish your goals. So, my message to the class of 2020 is from Dr. Seuss as well. Why fit in when you were born to stand out? Thank you to everyone who made today's graduation possible. We are grateful to the amazing teachers and administration of Hackettstown High School. Thank you, teachers, for dealing with all of our emails and our parents' emails. The support you have given us from the time we were young kids stepping into the high school doors for the first time is incredible, and it has shaped us into the responsible, prepared adults who sit before you today. Thank you, parents, for waking us up, making sure we submitted our attendance, and held us accountable for our work. You pushed us to be better and strive for excellence. Thank you to our security and all our sponsors for the contributions that made our graduation possible and special. We no longer sit here as kids. Today, we sit here as young men and women, products of hard work, time, and love that you have all given us. And for that, I want to sincerely thank you. The last few months have certainly had challenges, but we found a way to make it through together. And well, that leads us here, graduation. So, congratulations to all my friends in the class of 2020, because we are all now graduates of Hackettstown High School.